Hey there, and welcome back to Masteryshift. Are you ready to unlock your full potential and make a real shift in your life? Because today we are diving deep into the world of personal mastery and mindset transformation.
And guess what? You don't even have to climb a mountain or meditate in a cave for a month.
Exactly. There are practical, evidence-based strategies that you can implement right now to boost your well-being and achieve your goals.
That's right.
To help us break it all down, we've got a treasure trove of insights from Valter Longo's book, The Longevity Diet.
Okay.
I know it might sound a little unexpected, but trust me,
Yeah.
this book is about so much more than just food. It's packed with fascinating research on aging, nutrition, and the power of activating your body's own rejuvenation processes.
This deep dive is going to reveal how understanding the science of longevity can actually unlock incredible potential for personal growth and mindset shifts.
It's all about creating a ripple effect. When you prioritize your health and well-being, you create a solid foundation for everything else you want to achieve.
Right.
So get ready for some aha moments because we're about to explore how to upgrade your life, starting from the inside out.
And don't forget, you can get even more resources and exclusive content at Masteryshift.com. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Masteryshift.
All right, so Longo kicks things off by taking us back to his childhood. He grew up splitting his time between the U.S. and a small village in Italy called Malocchio. And get this, it was this contrast that really sparked his lifelong fascination with longevity.
What's fascinating here is that he observed the lifestyles and health of his relatives in both places. He noticed a stark difference in the prevalence of things like cardiovascular diseases, which were much rarer in his Italian family.
Okay, so it's like those early experiences planted a seed, right?
Right.
And that seed grew into this incredible scientific journey. Then we get a glimpse into Longo's time in the army. And let's just say the food wasn't exactly what you'd call health conscious.
He even jokingly refers to it as the heart attack diet, tons of meat, carbs, and sugary sodas. Looking back, he reflects on how this protein-heavy approach, while it seemed to boost muscle size, might not have been the best strategy for overall strength and longevity.
Hold on, so you're telling me all that protein might actually backfire when it comes to long-term health? That's definitely a master shift moment for me.
Well, it's not about eliminating protein entirely. What Longo's research suggests is that a periodic low-protein diet, alternated with periods of normal protein intake, could actually be more beneficial for muscle regeneration and overall health.
Interesting. So it's not just about how much protein you eat, but also when you eat it.
Exactly.
Right.
And this idea of challenging conventional wisdom and looking for solutions that work with the body's natural processes is a recurring theme in Longo's work.
I love that. It's like he's saying, hey, let's stop fighting our biology and start working with it.
Right.
Okay.
And he actually uses this brilliant analogy of an airplane. He asks, could you build a plane that flies longer without performance issues? The answer is yes, but you'd need to either use superior technology to reduce wear and tear or invest in more fuel and maintenance.
Okay, I see where he's going with this. So when it comes to aging, are we just piling on interventions to mask the symptoms? Or are we actually finding ways to enhance our body's own systems for repair and longevity?
He definitely leads toward the latter, arguing that we have this built-in longevity program that we can reactivate. But to do that, we need to understand how aging works at a fundamental level.
And that's where his research with yeast gets really interesting. I mean, who knew that tiny little organisms could hold the secrets to human longevity?
Longo was actually one of the first scientists to identify genes that regulate aging, even in simple organisms like yeast. He faced a lot of skepticism at first, but his research paved the way for understanding the molecular mechanisms of aging across different species, including humans.
Wow. So what started with yeast led to breakthroughs in understanding human aging. That's amazing.
And it gets even more interesting when we connect it to diet, specifically protein intake. Longo's research shows that high levels of a growth hormone called IGF-1 are linked to increased protein consumption.
Okay, wait a minute. IGF-1, what's that all about? Break it down for us.
It's a hormone that plays a role in growth and development, but high levels, especially in people under 65, have been linked to an increased risk of cancer and even a shorter lifespan.
Whoa, that's a serious master shift moment right there. So eating tons of protein to bulk up might actually be working against you in the long run.
It's not about fearing protein, but about understanding how different nutrients impact your body's systems. It all circles back to that idea of working with your body's natural programming.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's dive into what that actually looks like in practice. Longo lays out this 5-pillar approach to longevity, and the first one is all about diet.
He recommends a primarily pescatarian diet, think plant-based with the addition of fish a couple of times per week. He also emphasizes choosing foods that your ancestors would have recognized.
So basically, if your great-grandmother wouldn't have eaten it, maybe think twice.
Exactly. It's about minimizing potential intolerances or autoimmune issues by sticking to foods your body has evolved to handle.
Okay, so that's the Pescatarian Foundation. What else is on the menu for a longer, healthier life?
Well, Longo is a big advocate of something he calls time-restricted eating. It's basically having all your meals and snacks within a window of 11 to 12 hours or less per day. This aligns with habits we see in many centenarian populations.
So no more midnight snacking. I guess those late-night cravings are officially off limits.
Not necessarily. It's about finding a rhythm that works for you. The key is to give your body a break from digestion for a significant portion of each day. And a shorter eating window can be especially effective for weight loss.
Okay, that makes sense. So far, we've got a primarily plant-based diet, mindful eating windows, and a nod to our ancestral roots. What's next?
Here's where things get really interesting. Longo introduces the concept of prolonged fasting, specifically something called the Fasting-Mimicking Diet, or FMD for short.
Hold on, wait a minute. Intentionally going through periods of low-calorie intake. Isn't that a bit extreme?
It might seem counterintuitive, but the FMD isn't about starvation. It's a carefully designed low-calorie diet that mimics the effects of fasting without the potential downsides. Think of it like giving your body a temporary resource shift to focus on cellular repair and renewal.
That's a new way to think about it. So what kind of benefits are we talking about here? Does this actually translate to real-world results in humans?
The results are pretty amazing, actually. Clinical trials using the FMD have shown significant reductions in risk factors for several diseases, including diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and even some types of cancer.
Hold up, cancer. You're saying fasting could play a role in fighting cancer.
It's not that fasting alone cures cancer, but Longo's research suggests that FMD cycles can make cancer cells more vulnerable to treatments like chemotherapy, all while protecting healthy cells.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like flipping a switch in the body to prioritize healing and resilience. But surely there must be some downsides to intentionally putting your body through this kind of stress, right?
Well, like any intervention, there can be side effects, especially if the FMD is done incorrectly or without medical supervision. Some people experience headache fatigue or hunger during the fasting period.
So it's not exactly a walk in the park, but it sounds like the potential benefits could outweigh the temporary discomfort.
For many people, the benefits are truly transformative, and it's important to remember that the FMD isn't for everyone, especially those with certain health conditions. Always consult with your doctor before making any drastic changes to your diet.
Absolutely. This is about empowering yourself with knowledge and making informed choices, not just jumping on the latest trend.
Exactly. And what's so exciting is that Longo's work is opening up entirely new avenues for approaching health and longevity, not just managing diseases, but potentially reversing damage at a cellular level.
Okay, so we've covered diet, time-restricted eating, and the power of the FMD. But let's not forget, this is Masteryshift. We're all about connecting the dots between physical well-being and personal growth. How does all of this tie into that?
One of the most fascinating aspects of Longo's research is the connection he draws between FMD and the activation of stem cells. Remember, stem cells are like the body's master builders, capable of regenerating various tissues and organs.
Yeah, I've heard about stem cell therapy being used for everything from joint pain to spinal cord injuries. But are we saying that fasting can actually stimulate stem cell production? Is it even possible?
That's what the research is pointing to. During the FMD, there's a transient increase in circulating stem cells in the blood. This could be one of the reasons we see such remarkable rejuvenation and repair across multiple systems.
Wow, so it's like giving your body's own repair crew a major boost. It's a whole new level of self-healing. But how does this connect back to personal growth and the idea of Masteryshift?
That's a great question. Think about it this way. If our bodies have this incredible capacity for regeneration and renewal, what if we could apply those same principles to our mindset and goals? What if we could intentionally create the conditions for personal transformation and growth, just like we can create the conditions for physical healing?
Whoa, that's a powerful thought. It's like Longo's work is giving us a glimpse into the incredible potential of not just the human body, but also the human spirit.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we might have more control over our well-being and potential than we realize. And maybe, just maybe, by understanding the science of longevity, we can unlock new levels of mastery in all areas of our lives.
Okay, I am definitely feeling inspired. So before we jump into some specific examples of communities that are famous for their longevity, let's take a moment to remind our listeners about the incredible resources we have available at Masteryshift.com.
You got it. Head over to Masteryshift.com for exclusive content, insightful articles, and even some delicious recipes inspired by the longevity diet. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Masteryshift.
We've got a supportive community of amazing individuals committed to personal growth and transformation. We'll be back soon with more from the longevity diet, so stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to Masteryshift. Before we went to mastershift.com, we were talking about how fascinating the science behind Longo's work is. But now let's step out of the lab and into the real world. Longo highlights several communities around the globe that are famous for their longevity.
Okay.
It's like they've cracked the code on living longer and healthier lives.
Yeah, it's like stepping into these living laboratories of longevity, right? I'm ready to take notes and steal some secrets from the centenarians.
Well, get your pen ready because we're going to visit places like Okinawa, Japan,
Okay.
Malocchio, Italy, and even Loma Linda, California, right here in the U.S. And what's striking is that despite their differences in geography and culture, these communities share some common threads when it comes to lifestyle and diet.
Okay, so it's not about some magical fountain of youth. It's about consistent practices that support well-being over the long term. I'm all ears. What are some of these common threads?
One thing that really stands out is their emphasis on plant-based foods.
Okay.
In Okinawa, for example, their traditional diet is full of vegetables, fruits, and whole grains with very little meat or dairy. They even have the saying harahachibu, which means eating until you're 80% full.
That's interesting. It's like they've built in portion control, right? It reminds me of what Longo said about giving your body a chance to rest and repair instead of constantly overloading it.
And it's not just in Okinawa. In
Yeah.
Malocchio, where Longo's families from the centenarians he interviewed talked about eating meat very rarely, sometimes only a few times a year. Their diet was mainly vegetables, legumes, and olive oil.
So it seems like these dietary patterns have been ingrained in their culture for generations. It's not about following a fad diet, it's just a way of life. But it's not just about food, right? What about physical activity?
Absolutely. Physical activity is woven into their daily routines. In Okinawa, they practice traditional forms of exercise like Tai Chi and gardening, which keeps them moving and connected to nature.
I love that. It's not about punishing workouts at the gym. It's about finding enjoyable ways to stay active and engaged with life. What a great mastery shift lesson.
And in Malocchio, even into their 90s and 100s, the centenarians Longo interviewed were still walking up and down that mountainous terrain. Their environment encourages movement and strength.
It's like their everyday life is a workout. It reminds me of Longo's point about using all your muscles regularly, even if it's just choosing to take the stairs instead of the elevator.
Now, here's another common thread that's really important: social connection. In these communities, there's a strong sense of belonging, whether it's through family religious groups or community gatherings. People feel supported and have a sense of purpose.
You know, I think that's something we often overlook in our modern society. Loneliness and isolation are real issues, and having strong social connections can make a huge difference in our well-being. It's not just about adding years to our lives, but adding life to our years, right?
You got it. It's about having something to look forward to, people to share life with, and a sense of belonging. So we've got these inspiring examples, but how do we actually apply these lessons to our own lives?
Yeah, that's the big question. How does Longo translate all these insights into something actionable for the average person who's not living in a remote village in Italy?
That's where his longevity diet comes in. It's a roadmap, if you will, based on his research and the practices of these long-lived communities. He gives specific guidelines on what to eat, when to eat, and how to incorporate fasting into your routine. It's not just theory. He provides practical tools, even sample meal plans and recipes.
I'm all about practical. But let's be real, changing your diet and lifestyle can be tough. What if you're stuck in your ways and feeling overwhelmed by the whole thing?
Longo emphasizes that even small changes can have a big impact. It's not about being perfect, it's about making gradual progress. And he's not just focused on general well-being, he also tackles specific health concerns like diabetes, heart disease, and even Alzheimer's.
Now that's what I'm talking about. So he's not just saying, here's a list of foods to avoid. He's actually giving people a framework for understanding how these conditions develop and how to work with their bodies to promote healing.
He dives into the research explaining the role of things like inflammation, different types of fats, and the potential benefits of a plant-based diet and fasting.
So he's empowering people to be their own health advocates and make informed choices based on the latest scientific evidence.
And with Alzheimer's disease, which is a really complex and challenging condition, Longo acknowledges there's still a lot we don't know. But his research suggests that a combination of things like a low-protein diet and periodic fasting could potentially slow down the progression of the disease.
Wow, that's hopeful. So even with these really tough conditions, there are things we can do to influence our health.
It's about being proactive, not just waiting for symptoms to appear, but creating a lifestyle that supports resilience and longevity. It's a real mastery shift mindset.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about fasting, the amazing regenerative power of the body, and seen real-world examples of people who are living longer, healthier lives. But before we wrap things up, I want to touch on one more important aspect of Longo's work: the idea of personal responsibility.
Yes. It's about taking ownership of your health and well-being.
So it's not just about following a diet, it's about a mindset shift, right?
Absolutely. Longo emphasizes that while genes play a role, our lifestyle choices have a much bigger impact. He challenges the idea that aging is just a passive decline and encourages us to become active participants in our own health journey.
I love that. It's like he's saying, you're not just a passenger on this ride called life, you're the one behind the wheel.
Exactly. It's about making choices that align with your values and goals and understanding that even small, consistent actions can create a ripple effect over time.
All right, that's powerful. So what are some of the key takeaways that you think our listeners can start implementing today? What's the first step on this path to longevity and a mastery shift in their lives?
First, be mindful of your protein intake. Don't overdo it. It's about finding that sweet spot that supports your body's natural balance.
Got it. So not eliminating protein, but being more conscious of how much and when we eat it.
Second, pay attention to your eating windows. Try to confine your meals and snacks to a 12-hour window, or even less if it feels comfortable.
And it's not about deprivation. It's about finding a rhythm that works for you and your lifestyle. It's about working with your body, not against it.
Third, consider exploring periodic fasting, whether it's a simple intermittent fasting approach or a more structured fasting-mimicking diet.
But of course, always consult with your doctor before making any major changes, especially if you have any underlying health conditions. Safety first.
And lastly, don't underestimate the power of movement. Find activities you enjoy and make them a part of your daily routine. Even just walking can make a difference.
I love it. Longo's research is a powerful reminder that we have more control over our health and longevity than we might realize. It's not about quick fixes, it's about making sustainable changes that allow our bodies to thrive.
It's about bringing that same intentionality and focus to our health journey that we bring to other areas of our lives.
This deep dive has definitely been a game changer for me. I'm feeling super inspired to put all these insights into action.
Me too. It's a reminder that true mastery isn't just about achieving external goals. It's also about cultivating a deep understanding of our own bodies and minds and making choices that support our long-term well-being.
You know, as we've been exploring the longevity diet, one thing that's really struck me is how Longo challenges the way we typically think about healthcare. It's like,
What's fascinating is that he shifts the focus away from just treating diseases after they pop up.
right.
Instead, he advocates for a more preventative and holistic approach, one that emphasizes activating the body's own incredible healing mechanisms.
So it's not about just putting a bandage on the problem.
Right.
It's about getting to the root cause and empowering the body to heal itself from the inside out.
Exactly.
I love that approach.
And he's not just talking about diet and lifestyle changes. He also dives into the potential of fasting-mimicking diets as a complementary therapy alongside conventional treatments.
Yeah, we touched on this earlier with cancer, but he also explores the potential benefits of the fasting-mimicking diet for autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis and even Crohn's disease.
It's remarkable how the FMD seems to work on multiple levels.
Yeah.
It can help reduce inflammation, boost the immune system, and even promote the regeneration of damaged tissues.
It's like hitting the reset button on the body,
Yeah.
giving it a chance to clear out the clutter and rebuild stronger. But is the medical community starting to take notice of Longo's research?
Absolutely. There are ongoing clinical trials exploring the use of FMD in combination with standard therapies for a variety of conditions.
Okay.
It's like a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern science. Fasting has been practiced for centuries for spiritual and health reasons, and now we're starting to understand the science behind it.
That's so cool. So even if you're not currently facing a specific health challenge, you can still use these principles to enhance your overall well-being and build resilience. It's all about being proactive.
Exactly, and that proactive mindset is a key element of the Mastery Shift. It's about taking control of your health destiny and not just passively accepting the aging process.
You know, we've talked a lot about the physical aspects of longevity, but what about the mental and emotional side of things? There's got to be more to living a long, fulfilling life than just diet and exercise, right?
You're absolutely right. Longo acknowledges that while his book primarily focuses on the biology of aging, the mental and social dimensions are equally important. He emphasizes staying mentally active, cultivating meaningful relationships, and finding purpose and joy in life.
It all comes back to that saying.
Yeah.
It's not about adding years to your life, but adding life to your years.
Exactly. And Longo walks the walk, so to speak.
Yeah.
He's clearly passionate about his research, but he also prioritizes things like music, family, and connecting with his community.
It's a great reminder that true longevity embraces every aspect of our being.
Yeah.
physical, mental, emotional, and social.
Absolutely.
It's about finding that balance and recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to aging gracefully.
It's about embracing the journey of lifelong learning and growth and recognizing that we have more power to influence our health and well-being than we might realize.
This deep dive into the longevity diet has been incredibly eye-opening. I'm feeling so inspired to apply these insights and create a life that's truly vibrant and meaningful. What a fantastic conversation.
I agree. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you. And for all our listeners out there who are feeling that spark of inspiration, remember to visit Masteryshift.com for even more resources, insightful articles, and delicious recipes inspired by the longevity diet.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Mastery Shift for daily doses of motivation and to join our amazing community of fellow Mastery Shifters. We're all on this journey together.
Keep striving for mastery in all areas of your life. Until next time on Mastery Shift.